Wow! What are those? They look so fashionable. These flashy red, white and black creatures with spots are called garden tiger moths. They look more like garden cows to me, and they are not very rare. If you live in North America, Europe or temperate Asia, there is a chance that you may have seen one of these moths in the wild. If so, please do leave a comment. These moths are also very easy to breed, and I will show you today how to breed them in 5 simple steps. How to breed the garden tiger moth for beginners. A very pretty species with hairy caterpillars. I for one think that they look very fashionable. Unlike the owner of this channel. Imagine having thousands of followers and subscribers and looking like a complete slob.
You know, these jokes don't really work when I'm the one who's narrating it, you know? Like, who are you insulting? Yourself?
Well, it's not that you have anyone else in your life to narrate these videos for you, do you?
I'm actually dating somebody right now, so you would be surprised. Also, she's shy. She doesn't want to show herself on YouTube yet. Not to mention, why would I use her to narrate my videos?
And yet you are sitting here talking to yourself. Some things never change. Also, why did you bring up dating? Are you insecure?
Alright, I'm tired of these voices in my head. Time to take my mood stabilizers to make them disappear. Should I take this one as well?
Oh, stop, we can talk it out already, please wait, we can...
That's much more better. That's much more quiet. He had a point though. The moths do look a lot more fashionable than I do. Maybe I'll have to internalize that. But today I will actually explain to you how to breed the garden tiger moth, a wonderful species of moth, in 5 steps. Sorry for the intro, I have issues sometimes, but I would love to start with the first step. Let's get started. Step number 1.
Step 1. The eggs. The eggs of the garden tiger moth are easily incubated in various small plastic containers. You can use petri dishes, lunch boxes, or honestly any sort of plastic box. They don't even really need much ventilation. Incubate them on room temperature. The eggs are small, round and greenish. This step is probably the easiest one because they don't really need much care at all. Just keep them away from extreme temperatures or direct sunlight. That will kill them. Just let them rest in a contained indoors environment in a plastic box for about 2 weeks. Just be patient and don't do anything else. If the eggs are fertile, they turn brown over time and small, hairy little babies will hatch from them. These are the caterpillars from the very first life stage. Congratulations! The breeding project is about to start.
I turned myself into a garden tiger moth. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I did my research. Maybe the voice in my head was right. If you can't beat them, join them. I'm garden tiger moth, Bart! Oh yeah. That's such funny humor, you know, turning yourself into something else. It keeps working. To be honest, you do need a very high IQ to understand these kind of jokes, right? What do they say? Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery.
That mediocrity can pay to greatness. Hey, that's the full quote, by the way.
Mouth, or I'm gonna take more of those pills. That's what I thought. So let's move on to the next step, ladies and gentlemen. Step number 2.
2. Baby caterpillars. Alright, so you've got yourself a bunch of baby caterpillars hatching from their eggs. Interesting. What do you do next? Well, they need food as soon as possible. If the container you use to incubate the eggs is big enough, you can simply add some leaves. Here I am adding some leaves to their container. Or if you raise them in a petri dish, you can transfer the petri dish to an even bigger container. Once they start feeding well, you can also line a container with paper towels and add leaves on top of them. The paper towel sucks up excess moisture and keeps the humidity levels down and keeps the plastic box easier to clean.
Rearing the babies of this species can be done in a number of ways. You can use plastic boxes. I like to use a net cage right now because at this stage in their life it's good to keep them a little bit dry and ventilated. Now I actually did something very innovative. I brought dill from the supermarket, yes. Actually, I'm wrong, this is not dill, this is basil. Stupid Bart. Get your herbs and vegetables right. Now, this is basil and you can buy it from a pot in the supermarket in my country. People like to add it to their food fresh. So I've had this in their cage. And it works! They're feeding on it, they like it.
Here I am adding the babies to a pop-up cage. So long as the food plant is alive, healthy and fresh, the babies can free roam on it as they consume the leaves. This is an alternative way of raising them compared to plastic boxes. Honestly, both methods can work quite well. Here are the babies feeding on the leaves of the basil that I used. Over time, caterpillars grow bigger and bigger. Eventually they become black, with long pale white tufts and short orange hairs on the side. Once the caterpillars become a little bit bigger, you could slightly change the setup.
I apologize guys if my uploads lately have become a little bit unhinged. I'm just screaming into the void, into a cold and lonely world. I mean, self-mockery in a way is a form of self-expression, isn't it? What else can we do in a world where we are isolated from real communities and working meaningless jobs that we hate with a lack of structural social support, a lack of mental or physical health care, a lack of compassion, without any long-term outlook in a world that's increasingly going to shit because of social media addiction that push algorithms, that push rage bait on people, that antagonize, polarize and radicalize people, an environment that's being destroyed, the increase of income inequality that's being unmitigated, and the rise of a multipolar world where all of us eventually lose. No collective solidarity at all to deal with disasters like pandemics, or wars, or our rights being stripped away. So let's all vote and elect some clueless political grifter just because he caters to our completely selfish, isolationist and self-serving beliefs and desires. Because I would rather have cheap gasoline and cheap eggs rather than give up one single inch of my comfort to prevent the suffering of thousands. Because that's how I was raised. I think about myself and myself alone, while we watch and stand by as organic human interaction gets replaced by social media. And dating apps, of course, where mass commercialization and advertisement is drilled into our brain, while we use some of the last resources that we still have that allows us to connect to other people. Oh well. Perhaps it's just me. I am the crazy one, right? Step number 3.
Step number 3. Mature caterpillars. To be honest, you can raise the small and big caterpillars in a similar way, because step 2 and 3 are almost the same, with one exception: size. Especially if you use plastic boxes, keep them proportionally in size with the larvae, and you have to put them in a bigger plastic box if you use boxes. Next step. It's a simple concept. Small caterpillars need small boxes, and big caterpillars need big boxes. Once the tiny babies grow this large, you're going to need big plastic boxes to do the job. However, there's also another way. The larvae can be raised in pop-up cages, These are tiny cages designed for insects. It's even better if you use food plant that you grew in a pot, for example. Put it inside the cage and the larvae will feed on it. Let me show you the two options first. If you decide to use a big plastic box, then make sure you add a generous layer of paper towels. It's what I prefer to do. It keeps the boxes easy to clean. It also absorbs excess moisture. The caterpillars of this species produce a lot of excrement, so you have been warned. This saves a lot of dirty trouble. Once you're finished adding a layer of paper towel, you can add food plant. Food plants you can use include cherry, dandelion, plantain, stinging nettle, clover, birch, willow, sweet gum, cabbage, and honestly a lot of things. If you want, you can even fill a can or a bottle with water. And then you can add food plant to it later to keep it fresh. This can be added to their enclosure. However, it's also possible to just scatter the leaves on top and leave them to it. The main difference is that fully grown caterpillars are a bit sensitive to excessive humidity. So what you can do is you can punch a hole in the lid of the container so air can flow through. To prevent larvae from escaping, you can just put netting over the lid just like this. This allows air to flow in and out and prevents a buildup of excess humidity. Then fill it with a generous layer of paper towels. It's the same idea, but with just more airflow. The caterpillars do poop a lot, as you can see. It can grow moldy very quickly. Clean it every few days. Ew. Here is my army full of hairy little babies. Wow, I enjoy seeing these caterpillars a lot. Hope you don't find them creepy. But hey, why would somebody who thinks caterpillars are creepy watch moth videos? Good question. If you're a hardcore moth nerd who watches all my videos, you'll probably have noticed a trend here. Small caterpillars like higher humidity, and fully grown ones are less tolerant and need to be more dry and ventilated. It applies to the garden tiger moth too, in my opinion. On average, it takes the larvae about 2 to 3 months to grow from egg to fully grown caterpillar. But the growth rate in captivity seems to vary a lot, based on their diet, the temperature, and their willingness to hibernate or not. In nature, the caterpillars actually hibernate in winter, but if kept warm indoors in captivity, they just skip the hibernation and they often don't. As time passes, caterpillars will grow bigger, both in cages or boxes. Interestingly, their growth speed is quite variable. Eventually, the caterpillars will start spinning cocoons. This one is adding strings of silk inside of a leaf, and eventually it will pupate. How to take care of the pupa, you ask? Aha! Well, this will be the next step.
Well, I've been talking too much, but good job, friends, if you have made it this far. I'm proud of you. Now let me tell you guys, do I really look like a garden tiger moth? Do you see the similarity? I try to do my best. How does it compare?
See it? Can you see it?
Yeah, I've been talking a bit too much during the making of this video, so maybe we should go to the next step, which is the pupa. Do you have anything to add?
No, not really.
No? I thought so. That's great. Step number 4.
Step number 4! The pupa. Ah! These are the pupa of the garden tiger moth. They are shiny and black. Well, the pupa are very easy to take care of, however. They generally turn into moths between 3 to 4 weeks' time, which is not much at all. They are again easy to incubate in a container that you can fill with paper towels. It seems you can almost complete the whole life cycle of this moth in containers with paper towels. I should be sponsored by a paper towel company. In this case, just add some sticks that they can use to climb up to. Sometimes the plastic on the side is too slippery and a moth do need to hang from a high place to properly inflate the wings. So adding some sticks may help. Before you know, the moths start coming out. Here's the first one, it just emerged. At first their wings are kind of deflated, so it's best to leave them alone until they expand their own wings themselves. Over time a lot of moths came out in the eclosion box. Look at these little piggies. I'm not sure why I called them piggies just now, but let's just roll with it. After a while you have perfect looking moths. Wow, look at them. But what do we do next? That's the 5th step.
Once you've made it this far, it's step number 5, ladies and gentlemen. Step number 5, which is the moths themselves. Oh yeah, you want to know how to take care of the moths? Of course you do. Let's start. Step 5, the moths.
And then the moths came out. You've done a good job at this point, my dear friend. Step number 5, the moths themselves. Hey, do you remember these cages? They're called pop-up cages. You can even use a laundry basket if you're desperate. The most important thing to the moths is having some ventilation or airflow. They pair almost automatically. It's easy to see. When the moths are attached together like this, coupled by their abdomens like the ones in this video, that's when you know for sure that they are mating. They usually do this in darkness or in the early morning hours when the sun is rising. Usually you won't notice because you'll be asleep. After the moths are done mating, they will lay fertile eggs soon. Interestingly, during the making of this video I had a super rare yellow form. Usually the moths of this species are red with the red hindwings. This is essentially the shiny version of the garden tiger moth for the people who play Pokemon. In fact, the yellow form has not been raised by anyone in the hobby for over 10 years. I'm not gonna take all of the credit for myself though. This bloodline came from a friend called Natalia who lives in Germany. Natalia, you are a special person. Thank you for sending me these mutants. Can you see the difference? What's interesting about the garden tiger moth is some of them can have very rare variations. But you have to be really lucky to get one of them. It's a very variable species though. How many moths I have reared though? This species is brightly colored because it is in fact poisonous. Don't let this fact scare you away from breeding them, however. The moths and caterpillars are harmless. It's only when you eat or swallow them that they do any harm. If your moths are mating, then soon you are guaranteed to find many eggs. The moths don't need much care at all. In fact, they do not eat. And they more or less mate, lay eggs and die. In fact, they die of starvation because they don't even have a functioning mouth. There's nothing you can do. Next, you can carefully collect the eggs and place them in a container. I'm sure you remember this part. And 2 weeks later the babies come out again and the life cycle is completed again. Soon the moths will die of old age. But it's okay, you have the next generation. Life cycle finished in 5 steps. Hope you're inspired to breed this video. Breed this moth species, not this video. What's wrong with me? I had the word video in my mind because I wanted to say thank you for watching this video. I apologize for being so out of control and wacky lately. I can't help it. I didn't have any adult supervision today. But I hope to see you in the next one. Although I do want to give you a small disclaimer.
Thank you for watching, and I do want to say, guys, sorry for my IG humor. Don't take medicine as a prank, okay? Medication is a pretty serious thing, don't stunt with it. The ones I were taking are fake. They are literally props. In fact, they're vitamin supplements. Yeah, they're my mom's vitamin supplements, okay? They're not actual psychoactive medication that I'm taking just for fun, to have a laugh on YouTube, alright? It's not real, guys, it's not real. It was vitamins. That's right. Don't take medicine or pills just for a prank or for views. I have really unhinged humor sometimes, sorry guys. Thank you for watching, hope to see you in the next breeding video.
Yeah, I'm a bit crazy. But people who are interested in breeding moths, learning about moths, keeping them as pets in captivity or studying them in the wild are always welcome in my community, always welcome to be my friend. Send me a message, we can talk, we can discuss. And I hope you subscribe and check out my other moth breeding videos. I promise you the rest of them are a bit more normal than this one. Thank you for watching.